Today, we're diving into one of the oldest stories ever told, possibly the oldest story in human history. This tale originates from the ancient Mesopotamian civilization, the cradle of agriculture and the first known civilization, which existed over 5,000 years ago. Much of this ancient mythology has been lost over time, and the surviving texts often exist in multiple versions. Through the centuries, each generation has retold the story in its own way. Ishtar was one of the most powerful goddesses in Mesopotamian mythology, representing war, beauty, sexuality, and justice. Yet her origins remain somewhat mysterious, largely due to missing or fragmented ancient records. According to the most popular version of the myth, Ishtar was the daughter of Nana, the moon god. Strangely enough, she had a father but no mother, an oddity even within the world of mythology. What's clearer, however, is her relationship with her siblings. Ishtar had a twin brother named Utu, the sun god, and an older sister named Ereshkigal, queen of the underworld. Ishtar's divine lineage is more complex and is laid out in detail in the family tree charted by the Useful Charts channel. Ishtar also had a husband named Dumuzi, the shepherd god. Some theories suggest that Dumuzi was once mortal and became divine after marrying her, while others say he was a god from the start. Either way, their marriage was far from a fairy tale. The love story between Ishtar and Dumuzi had a rocky beginning. At first, Ishtar fell for a farmer, but her brother Utu intervened and tried to pair her with the shepherd, Dumuzi. He even went ahead and arranged their marriage without asking Ishtar's opinion. Furious, Ishtar turned to the gods in her family for advice and was ultimately told to choose Dumuzi. She agreed, and the two were married. However, their life together was not a happy one. Despite being queen of heaven, Ishtar always craved more power. One day, she decided to descend into the underworld, the domain of her sister Ereshkigal, in search of additional strength. Before leaving, she instructed her loyal servant, Ninshubur, if she did not return after 3 days, seek help from the gods. When she reached the gates of the underworld, Ishtar did not ask for permission. Instead, she demanded entry and threatened to break down the gates and raise the dead if denied. The gatekeeper rushed to inform Ereshkigal. Ishtar was allowed to enter, but only under one condition: with each gate she passed through, she had to remove a piece of her clothing or jewelry. By the time she had passed through all 7 gates, Ishtar stood naked before her sister. She demanded power, but Ereshkigal, feeling insulted, cursed Ishtar with various diseases and caused her death on the spot, trapping her spirit in the underworld. With Ishtar dead and her soul trapped below, the effects rippled across the world. On the surface, life came to a halt, no one gave birth, crops stopped growing, and joy disappeared. Without the goddess of love and fertility, the world was in crisis. True to her promise, Ninshubur went to inform the gods after 3 days of Ishtar's absence. Ishtar's family was devastated. They believed she had truly died. But one god, Ea, the deity of wisdom and creation, decided to act. Because part of the original text has been lost, the details vary, but in the most popular version, Ea created a unique being, an androgynous creature, neither fully male nor female. This being was sent to the underworld to rescue Ishtar. We don't know whether the being had to shed garments like Ishtar did, as that part of the text is missing. But eventually, the being reached the place where Ishtar lay, lifeless and surrounded by darkness. There, the being encountered Ereshkigal, who was in a state of emotional turmoil, angry and grieving. Upon learning that this visitor had come to rescue Ishtar and that life on earth was fading, Ereshkigal initially lashed out. But after calming down, she realized that keeping Ishtar trapped would only bring harm to both realms. Ereshkigal finally agreed to release Ishtar, but only on one condition: someone must take her place in the underworld. A life for a life. Ishtar was revived and escorted out of the underworld by a group of demons. Together, they traveled back to the surface to find a replacement for her. Ishtar reunited with family and friends, most of whom were mourning her, making her unable to choose any of them to die in her place. Then she saw Dumuzi, her husband, relaxing under a tree, enjoying physical pleasures with a female servant, showing no signs of grief or remembrance. A storm of rage surged within Ishtar. She immediately ordered the demons to seize Dumuzi and drag him into the underworld to take her place. Beyond this tale of descent into the underworld, Ishtar also appears in the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest pieces of literature known to mankind. In this epic, Ishtar reveals another side of her complex nature, impulsive love and vengeful fury. After Dumuzi was banished to the underworld, Ishtar felt lonely and heartbroken. One day, she looked down upon the city of Uruk and saw Gilgamesh, a young, strong, and attractive king who was also part divine. Instantly smitten by his looks and aura, she boldly proposed marriage, despite never having met him before. It was the kind of dramatic move one might expect in a romantic animated film. However, Gilgamesh immediately rejected her, and not only that, he harshly criticized her. He recounted all of Ishtar's previous lovers, pointing out that they all met tragic fates, cursed, transformed, or killed. He declared that her love was dangerous and cruel, and he refused to be her next victim. His words struck a blow to Ishtar's pride. Outraged, Ishtar returned to the heavens and complained to her father, Anu, the supreme sky god. She demanded he unleash the Bull of Heaven, a divine beast of immense power, to destroy Uruk and punish Gilgamesh. Anu warned that releasing the beast could cause a famine across the land. But Ishtar argued that the famine would turn people against Gilgamesh, which, in her eyes, was even better. Eventually, the Bull of Heaven was released upon Uruk, spreading terror. But Gilgamesh and his close friend Enkidu joined forces to fight and kill the creature. Ishtar, now not only rejected but humiliated, was furious. She cursed Gilgamesh, but Enkidu insulted her openly, cutting off the bull's hind leg and throwing it into her face, an act of profound disrespect. Furious beyond belief, Ishtar channeled her wrath toward Enkidu, cursing him with a fatal illness. Enkidu gradually weakened and eventually died, an event that plunged Gilgamesh into a spiritual crisis, leading him on a journey to discover the meaning of life and death. The story of Ishtar in Mesopotamian mythology reflects not only a powerful goddess full of passion and vengeance but also offers deep insight into ancient beliefs about life, death, and the afterlife. Unlike modern religions, the Mesopotamians believed that all souls, regardless of their deeds, ended up in the same underworld, where underworld gods wielded more power than those of the heavens. The myth also shows Ishtar's lasting influence in ancient poetry and culture, particularly through the Epic of Gilgamesh.